Hey everybody, it's the Diesel guy with an unboxing for you, and if you notice, it is the INL New York Central Water Level Route train set, Water Level Limited train set, pardon me. And you're probably thinking, wait a minute, Diesel guy, didn't I just see you do one of these unboxings with this unit in voiceover? And yes, you'd be right. This is an unboxing of a different sort. I bought actually another one of these sets. I found this dirt cheap on eBay for about close to $200 off the retail price. The interesting thing is that it was listed as new, but as for parts or restoration. Essentially, it was said that this should be used for parts and nothing more. So it was sitting there for a while, and the price dropped on it, and finally I decided to buy it and see what it's about. So today I'm going to take this apart and see what I got myself into. I don't know exactly what's wrong with this. I've just been told by the description that it's just to be used for parts, but I'll be the judge of that. So to start with, and this is a box. Pardon me if I get down here. It's a little bit undignified, but I have a sort of space here. Okay. Go ahead and pull this lid off here. I've already gone ahead and knocked the tape off. And to start with, everything looks perfectly normal. We have all three coaches. We have the locomotive. We've got our Lionel Chief controller in here. Admittedly, I had to steal this controller out of here once before, so I know this actually does still have its batteries in there, which is an interesting sign. It means that someone did clearly use this, and just to prove it, see that? Power comes on, so clearly it has batteries in it. Now taking a look at the coaches, which I didn't inspect clearly, ooh, yeah. Take a look at this one over here. It has been glued to death on the back here. I don't know why, but someone apparently decided to glue this down. See right there? All kinds of glue on it. That's not a good sign. Looks like this broke off and someone tried to fix it with glue instead. That's not the proper repair, but someone went for it, and as you can see, it messed up the New York Central Herald in the back here, which is unfortunate. I can sort of try to get that off, but it's very difficult, so I may just have to live with that. Let's see about the other coaches. If I'm honest, the steam locomotive doesn't interest me as much, as you probably guessed. Main reason being is that my railroad is really not meant for these. I've already tried running the other steamer on my layout, and it was a bit of a disaster. It found fault with everything. It's just too long to get through all of my tight turnouts, which I have all 16-inch. I have all number 6, or probably the number 4 switches on my layout. It's really not meant for this kind of thing. So here we have another coach, and this one appears to be normal, except I noticed this coupler here, this brake hose thing on the bottom, has been twisted around a few times. That's not a good sign. What do we have over here? Ah, ha, 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 ha. Take a look at this. It appears that someone crazy glued this together with the previous car, and if we look on the side, here's why. They lost the spring for it. So either this was an inexperienced model railroader that didn't realize that you have to replace, that these springs need to be in place, or didn't. Let me actually get a little bit more light so you can see better. Either this was an unexperienced model railroader that didn't realize that you need to have this spring in place here on the coupler to keep the knuckle tight, which is something I'm a big proponent of, and also I find very annoying at the same time. Or the person just tried to half-ass it together and just use crazy glue. So that's going to have to get fixed. Luckily, this is not the end of the world. I can easily fix that. Oh, another thing, I find that this one's been crazy glued all around the bottom over here. Strange on it. It looks like the top broke off this and someone crazy glued it back on. I'm surprised a hobby shop accepted this back, which is what apparently happened. And this one over here, no, it looks fine. So I got one coach that's questionable so far. Now the locomotive is another question. I have not tested this yet. Let's take a look at it. This has definitely seen mileage. You can tell by the grooves on the wheels there. For those of you not familiar, you can tell there's a little wear and tear on it. There's a bit of a groove on this. This definitely has been around the track a few times. And it's been set to the remote, so very clearly this was run not on a... So I'm getting the idea from all of what I'm seeing here, this was not a professional model railroader that had this. So, let's say we put this on the track and see if it will actually work the way it's supposed to. Okay, if you hear that sound, that means the system is looking for this controller to be on, as I have it set to the remote to operate. I'm going to check right now to make sure I'm on the track one last time because it doesn't look right. I don't hear it thudding, so I'm pretty sure I'm on. I have to say this steam engine is a real pain to get on the track. I have been doing this I have been into trains at HO scale since I was about 6 years old, and this is the most challenging engine I've ever had to put on the track, with very few exceptions. Let's go down and give this thing a try. On comes the power. There we go. Of course the whistle stops because it now detects it. So let me actually get this out of the way. And I'm going to go give her a run and see how well this thing does, if it does anything at all. I think it'll be fine. I'm thinking I know what the problem was, but we'll see in a second. Let's throttle her up to forward. A little bit of a jerky start, but it does move. And this is the Bluetooth controller, so I'm not expecting perfection. Again, this Magnalock track isn't perfect, as I pointed out in the last review. If you don't set each connection up perfectly, you'll get the slightest unevenness in the track work, and that'll cause the train to jump the track or unhook, as it is doing here. What did this guy do to this train? All these couplers are not holding in place. I have the Polar Express version of these cars, and I've never known them to be this much of a pain to keep hooked up, so something tells me these things have been abused pretty badly. But luckily that's not the end of the world. I can change the couplers on them. It's not a big deal. There it goes off the track again. The locomotive, I can hear, jumped right there. Go back over here and see if I can find what happened. I think I found the problem right there. I hope. Maybe. Possibly. Could be. I don't know. Pick up a little speed here now. Turn that bell off. Again, Lionel is not the first company to do this. Bachmann has had a system that's controlled via this for a while now, via Bluetooth. And MRC, of all companies, has made a decoder that will plug into any standard locomotive and turn it into one of these with sound and DCC for the longest time. So really, honestly, it appears that the engine itself is fine. This track work is causing it to derail, but that's because of how it's set up. It just isn't designed for the shorter loop. I'm going to actually turn this off now. Again, it appears this locomotive is pretty much fine. There's nothing wrong with it whatsoever. The problem appears to be with this coach over here being crazy glued again, and I can't get over how badly this was done. Oh, I gotta take you guys off the tripod and show this to you, because I just can't get past this. Where do people get these ideas from? Now again, here we have the coupler, and the spring is clearly gone, as I showed before. Right there, no spring where it should be a spring. There's nothing there. As you can see, it's just wadded with crazy glue to try to hold it together, and of course that didn't work. And that's why this thing most likely got returned. So, I got lucky on this. It looks like this is going to be a nice little project to get done here. I'll get another set of these coaches, which, if you're wondering, yes, that's the reason why I bought this, because I love these coaches. I like the New York Central coaches. I like the fact that they're lit. I like how they hold the rails. They're going to be a perfect addition to my layout. As for the engine, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that, but chances are it's not going to run on the layout, because I can't handle the tight turns I have on the section there. So anyway, this is going to become a project. I'm going to go ahead and pull out a Katie coupler and put it aside with this coach. And when I get to it, I'm going to change this coupler out. I'm going to get rid of the crazy glue on this, which will probably be tomorrow. I have to remove the truck, it looks like, to get down to it. Too late to do it tonight, so I'll have to worry about it later on. The other thing I want to do is check this last car over here. Again, it looks like this fell off a train board of some sort. Again, an inexperienced model railroader probably ran it too fast, and they tried to crazy glue it together. I'm surprised a hobby shop accepted this thing back, because it's been bodged so badly. I really am, but apparently they did, because that's how this thing became for sale as is, and for parts only. But anyway, yeah, I can save this, although the rear is never going to look quite right, and it's a shame that someone did some kind of that stupid of a repair on this. Was way too liberal with the glue, and as you can see, it's all over the place on the sides to try to glue it back together. The reason why it's not in here right is because it was just shoved in there and not properly aligned. But anyway, I know this car will work. I've seen it work, so that's not a problem. All I really have to do here is get into here and change the couplers, because I think this is also shot.
And just a little side note here, in case anyone was wondering how these tracks join together and transfer power, well, they're the two receptacles for the positive and negative current.
Alrighty, it's time to sort of undo the really bad and idiotic repair that was done to this thing. As you can see, this crazy glue is just not going to cut it. It didn't work then, isn't going to work now. Therefore, the only way to fix it is to actually go back a step and fix it the proper way. The reason why, again, this happened, if we look closely at it, I'm not sure how good the pictures I took last night came out, so I'll show you now. If you take a look right there, that little area by the knuckle, for those of you unfamiliar with model trains in general, that's actually where a metal spring should be on, like we see on the opposite side of this coach. Should have a coil spring just like that. Without that coil spring, the knuckle will not hold shut, and it'll let the cars just go. That's how these couplers work. They're designed to be released when you utilize a magnetic uncoupler or any of the other type devices. That said, if you don't have the piece in place, the spring in place at all, it'll just release all the time. Anyway, here's how we're going to go about repairing this. I need to get the truck off, and to do that, zoom in a little bit more so you can see what I'm doing. We're going to need a few items. To start with, a cheap screwdriver set in this case from Walmart. $5, this hyper tough thing with this bright orangey yellow color. I guess it's great if you don't want to lose it, because you won't. I'm going to need a bowl for alcohol. I may have to put this in alcohol. The coupler itself, I'll explain how to do that later. And of course, a replacement spring. These are from KD. I think they cost $1.20 for a package. That's what I paid for these a while back. You get a whole bunch of them in them. You get like 2 of these plastic tube things with them in there. And that's basically what we need for right now, at least. I also have another coupler from KD itself. If need be, I might just swap this one in. I'll take a look and see how this works. But I'd like to restore the coupler, mainly because it's a pain to sort of get couplers to match other train sizes sometimes. A lot of times it's out there. It's just a pain to find. I don't think I can actually directly buy the part from Lionel directly. And to be honest, if I could get it, it'd probably be too expensive. Anyway, the first things first, I'm going to now get the truck off. To do that, I'm going to get a small point Phillips head. On my screwdriver, I'm going to zoom you guys in so you can see better enough. Oh, and one last thing.
Let me just correct myself before I go any further. This is in fact packing foam, not styrofoam. So please note when I speak about packing foam, I am talking styrofoam. Pardon me. I'm speaking about packing foam, which is what I have this coach laying on to avoid damaging it, as I have it turned upside down and applying pressure to it with the screwdriver.
Pardon me, folks. I'm congested as usual. Let me go ahead now and take this screw out of place. And pretty simple to do. Stick the screwdriver in and turn it out. And it looks like that point is a little bit too small. Luckily, I have multiple points. Let's go with a bigger point here. Keep all my parts together. Ah, there we go. So I just snap this in position. So I'm going to undo this screw right now that holds the truck in place to get the truck off. And then from there I can remove the coupler. There it is, that's working. Okay, I feel it biting. As I say, there's some resistance which tells me I'm moving the screw, and here it comes. I have to be careful here because I'm not sure if this is linked by a wire or not. I don't have all the schematics for these things. It is linked by a wire, so I've got to be careful with this. But now, more importantly, I can get access to the coupler itself, which is held on by a screw on the top. I'm going to turn this right side up so you can see. The screw is right down there. That's what I removed the truck to get access to. Focus, focus, focus. Come on, you darn camera. But anyway, yeah, that's the best I can get it in on that. I'm going to go ahead now and undo this screw. There we go. Undo this screw right now. Sorry for the bad camera angle, but it won't focus any other way. Just going to carefully undo this screw counterclockwise. And now the whole box should come off. It looks kind of almost like a knockoff of the Atherin box itself. And there we have it. One coupler removed. And feeling this is a metal coupler, but it looks like one of the Bachmann Easy styles. Doesn't say easy on the bottom, otherwise I would assume it is. For a while I could find a lot of rolling stock that use the easy couplers, even though they're supposed to be McHenry's, I found, but this is clearly a metal one. Let's see what this one over here looks like. Now, one thing I noticed immediately is, unlike the one I have here for a replacement, this is in fact not a self-centering, it's a standard one. And their lengths, let's take a look at this. I have to look at it outside the viewfinder so I get a direct view. Actually, this is about the same length, it looks like. So I'm going to see if I have a KD coupler to replace this. I don't think I'm going to use that one now, because this is a self-centering one that I brought out here. This is the original. It's a non-self-centering coupler, and the one I have here is one of the KD self-centering jobs. Which, if you look on the back here, it has two metal whiskers, as they call them, that will center the coupler. But since this one is using a box, I'm not so sure that's a good idea to do. And it looks like the box is actually built into this coupler itself. Okay, so I need a non-self-centering if I'm going to do something else. So that coupler is immediately no good. I'm going to have to put that in storage someplace. Let's go ahead now and get to work on this. I'm going to see if I can pull the glue off this thing. But no, that's not going to work. Alright, so what I'm going to do here is my other plan, Plan B, and that is to use some 91% isopropyl alcohol. Or I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, I'm probably not, but drop it in here and isopropyl, or whatever they call this thing. I'm going to go ahead now and just dump a little of this in there, 91% of it. Not going to fill this all the way to the top, just enough to submerge the coupler itself so I don't waste it. Because I will need to basically use this for that, and I won't be able to do anything else with it. Don't want to waste it. Admittedly, it's not expensive, but I don't want to overdo it for no reason at all. Yeah, just a little bit more to that. And there it goes. Okay, it's in there. Alrighty, so I'm going to let this sit now for a while and see if that will soften up the glue and get it loose. If this does break loose, I'll just go ahead and replace it. Go ahead and put the spring in it and put it back in place. If it doesn't work, well, then it's back to the drawing board. Okay, this coupler has now been soaking in here for a good 20-30 minutes. Let's see how it's doing. Again, this is just isopropyl alcohol. I'm going to go ahead and just pull it out. Ooh, this stuff is strong. It smells terribly. Okay, now let's see how easy it is to get this off, if it's even possible. Get a little bit more light in here. That's much better. Get all the light in here and see if I can get this stuff off. Okay, it's really stuck in there good. You know, folks, seriously, don't do this. If you have an idea of gluing your train together, don't do it. Just go online and ask someone for help. Don't do this. Really, it's not about pride. It's about saving a train from being broken unnecessarily. Looks like I managed to, with the help of that, just pull it right off. Here. I say that's going to work. I would definitely say that's going to work. Okay, so I fixed that. I managed to pull that out of the fire. Or out of the frying pan. Hopefully I didn't throw it into the fire. Gotta seal this up in case I need to use it for something else. I hate to throw the alcohol out for nothing. I know it's not exactly expensive, but still. If that didn't work, I had found these couplers sitting in storage that would have probably done just as well. It's the same style coupler. These are the official KD manufactured ones. Again, this one apparently needs the non-sprung couplers because the spring is built into this. So the next phase is to actually rebuild this coupler the way it should have been to begin with. Once I've dried it off a bit. Luckily, alcohol dries really quick, and it looks like this is just about done. So now what I need to do is I need to get a coupler onto this section right here, if I can show you. Come on, you good friendly camera, focus. There we go. These 2 points here, here and here, there should be a spring on. I'm going to go in now and dig out that spring from this little package. I may not be able to show much of this because it is very difficult to install these springs. Okay, and just like that, by doing it off camera, I managed to get them to fit. Not the most beautiful install I've ever done, but it will work just well enough. See, now that's how it should be. Just to show you again, focus, camera, focus. Oh, this thing drives me nuts. Let's get a little bit more light in here and see if that'll help it out. See, that's how it should work. As you see now, when I push the coupler back, the spring pushes the clasp shut. Pushes the knuckles shut, so it'll hold in very tightly there. That's how it should work. So, now the next step is to put it back together. So I have my coach sitting right back here. I'm going to slide it forward, and I'm going to move you guys a little bit so you can see what I'm up to. Again, on my little mat thing here, I'm going to now take this little guy right over here and put this on top. Like so. Again, the coupler always goes on with the little brake hose thing on the bottom, as that's how it should be. And so actually, no, it's the other way around. I forgot. These are installed differently. Actually makes more logic what what Lionel did, I should say, in this case, is that they have you installing them on the top down, which is how they should go. Again, as you can see in the pocket here, I'll turn this right side up. The pocket of this coupler, as we see right there, actually has the sprung, is actually pre-sprung in here. Two pieces of plastic acting as the spring. I really shudder to think who came up with the idea on this thing to glue this together to begin with. Okay. So I think that'll work, right? Oh, almost lost the spring. Is that how it goes on? Yes, that is. I think. I hope. Yes, that has to be it. Okay, so now I just need to tighten this screw down in position. Give her a few turns. Test the coupler to make sure it's still a spring. And it's swing, I guess. Yep, that'll do it. Okay. The spring has got a slightly broken on the bottom, but it works well enough, so it's just going to have to do for the time being. Let us now place this back into position on the bottom. Then the truck goes right over the hub. Turn the unit upside down. And there it is. And just like that, I believe I have fixed that. Let's try that again. I got the engine coming around again. On the center track. Give her another shot. Going nice and slow. It's easier rather than having to rush to reset the throttle all the time. And in a second we should see it come through that tunnel. You see it coming around there. I'll zoom in on her as she comes into the tunnel, as we'll see the headlight. Always stalls there. I gotta find out what's going on with that track. I think there might be some dirt on it. Up and over the hill. Switching on to the main line for the branch. I should say the branch off the secondary trestle. Past the station. I'm not going to stop. Back around through the top. Onto the ladder, as I name this section. And down the mountain descent. Overall, came out very nice. So it appears I have fixed these coaches, and it only took a little work and correcting someone else's error. And the issue I was having with the couplers just had to do with the other coupler being kind of weak in the middle. So for the time being, I'm gonna have to keep this connected to a stronger coupler. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this video. I think I'm gonna play with my trains for a little bit for a change, and I'll sign off for you right here. Anyway, everybody, as always, take care and keep the metal side down.